such a colorful talk. So now let's switch to a more mathematical and computational modeling side. So yeah, I'm Xiuli Chen, and today I'm going to talk about the emergence of interactive behavior and model of rational menu search. Okay, let's start with the purpose of this work. So the purpose of this work is to explain interactive behavior as an emergent consequence of adaptation to constraints, and where the constraints are imposed by the experience of device use, by human psychological mechanisms, and by utility. And hopefully by the end of this work you will understand these points. Or even better, if you don't quite understand and you're curious enough to read our paper, that would be great. And for someone who cannot wait to meet Sai, and this will be the quick take-home point. So yes, let's start with the task. So the task is a menu search task. Understanding menu search is an important question because menus are the most primary method of interaction method in many computer technologies, and they are understanding design questions. For example, the designers are still struggle by the question like how many items should be on the menu, and what items should be on the menu, and how these items should be organized. And at the meantime, psychologists ask questions like how long will a user take to search the menu, and where will they look, or what criterion determine when they give up, and also what strategy will they use. So in menu search, the strategy might be look to examine each item in turn, or skip some items, or just look randomly. And in this work, we addressed both their questions by asking the question, how can we predict which behavior emerge given a design? And to answer this question, we built an optimal control model of menu search. Okay, this is the overview of the talking. So I'm going to talk about 5 things. So why build a computational model, and why we need another computational models. And then I'll introduce the optimal control model of menu search, followed by results and a short discussion. So, okay, so why does anyone need to build a computational model for human interactive behaviors, given that there are already a number of computational models out there? Here are 3 quick reasons. So, models offer rigorous explanations and reduce the potential for ambiguity and miscalculation. For example, in menu search, opinions or sometimes theories are expressed as words. It's easier to misunderstood and to misinterpret. And the second reason is models offer more systematic explanations because many theoretical commitments can be placed in a single framework. So, for example, in menu search, you might have a theory of human visual perception, have a theory of human working memory. So the model allows you to understand how these 2 theories work together in order to generate human behavior. The third reason is models are able to offer more general explanation because a large body of empirical facts can be given a single explanation. So, for example, in menu search, it has been found that people are faster when searching in a semantically grouping menus than they do on unorganized menus, and it has been found that people tend to search from the top of the menu. But it's difficult to design menus using just a collection of empirical facts. So, okay, so now let's look at why do we need another computational models, given that we already have that out there. So here we give 2 reasons. So previous models do not explain why behaviors emerge as a consequence of adaptation to cognitive and ecological constraints. This is a problem because it's difficult to extend such a model to new tasks without hand-coding strategies. And the second reason is previous models are not founded in mathematical principles of optimal control. This is not ideal because such models fail to take advantage of the validity that comes with mathematical rigor. So our approach to build a computation model is found on what we call adaptive interaction framework. So the idea of this framework is to explain how behavior is an emergent consequence of constraints. Okay, so now let's look at what sorts of constraints we considered. So in this triangular diagram, there are three sets of constraints on the strategies that users use to search menu. The first one is ecology. Ecology means a distribution of the semantic relevance or a distribution of the menu length. These distributions will give you the idea of how to distinguish the target items to non-target items. And the second set of constraints is psychological limits, which is the mechanism. This includes human perceptual limitations and working memory limitations. And the third one is utility. Utility, for example, this is to understand how the time is important to people and how costly to make errors. So the utility is provide a measure of the quality of the strategies. In order to implement the adaptive interaction framework, we use optimal control. So the modern optimal control theory provides approach to understanding and define the user's control problem. So, okay, so now let's talk about our optimal control model of menu search. So, given the time limits, here I give an overview of the overview of the model. So, our model is trained on millions of menus to acquire the control strategies. So, on each trial, the model is given a menu, and then the model estimates the states. And given available states, the model chooses actions and execute actions. So this process is repeated to acquire the optimal control policy. For more detail, so like on each trial, a menu is sampled from a distribution of menus that models the experience ecology. And the actions in the model including like fixating on items or selecting items or exits the menus if they believe the item is not in this menu. And, oh, sorry, cannot see that part. And the state is the perceived part of the menu. It's not the actual name or items on the menu. It's the state including the semantic relevance and shape relevance and the fixation location. So, and this state estimation is bounded by psychological mechanisms, including limits on foveat vision. And so the control policy is emerged as a consequence of reinforcement learning, optimizing for utility. So in our model, the cost function is time. So the model minimizes the time cost. So we conducted two studies to evaluate the model. The one is on real-world menus, and it's menus from 60 applications of Apple systems. And the started to is the model was tested on menus from the experiments with human participants. As I said, there are two phases in the model: training phase and text phase, and testing phase. And so in study 1, we tested the model on real-world Apple system menu. So in this figure, we give some ecological distribution of the menu we summarized based on the real-world menus. So for example, in the right panel, there's a distribution of the menu item lengths. So it has peak around 5 to 6, and it's left skewed. And the left panel gives you the semantic relevance distributions. Specifically, there are 3 types of semantic, the semantic relevance of 3 types of item pair. So for example, the solid line is the semantic relevant distribution of the items in the target group. So as you can see, the distribution is right skewed. So meaning that the items in the target group, it's relatively high relevance with the target. And the dot line on the left is the items that are distributed on different menu groups. So it's left skewed, and meaning that it's relatively low relevance with the target. We know these distributions is important because you can imagine a better design menus could give you a better distinguished distributions. Although we found many more effects in the paper, if you're interested, you can check the paper. Here I'll focus this result for study 1. So in study 1, so in this figure, we show 2 menu lengths. The white bar is for 10 items, which is 5 by 5 design, and black bar is for 9 items, is 3 by 3 by 3 grouping. And that's for the semantic grouping. But for alphabetic one and alphabetic menus and unorganized menus, you can see the model takes longer to search in longer menus, and for both alphabetic and unorganized. But this effect reverses in the semantic one. So if you remember my colleague Duncan's presentation, he has the same finding in the empirical study. So if the 3 by 3 group doesn't take advantage of the grouping effect of the semantic grouping, so it takes longer time than the 2 by 5 design. So and the next study we trained menu on a set of menus. So I'll skip this because the distribution are the same, are the same, just the shape is different. So and the finding of this study is the first one is on search duration. So in this figure, the model predicts search duration. So as you can see in the top panel is human data. So there are 3 types of menus: alphabetic, semantic, and unorganized. And for each organization, there are 2 menu lengths, 8 and 12. So for each menu length, you can see in human data, participants were faster on semantic menus, and then fastest on alphabetic, and then semantic, and then organized. And also they are faster in shorter menus. And in the bottom panel, you can see that model predict this effect. And this is not fitted data. This is just emergent sequence of the adaptation to the constraints. And so in this figure is the model is to predict the gaze allocation. So it means the proportion of gaze on the target item. So as you can see in the first 3 panels, for different organization of menus, it review different shapes. For example, for alphabetic one, the human data, the blue dots shows that. So when the target is at the top of the menu or at the bottom of the menu, participants were more efficient to find the target. Because the nature of the English words, in alphabetical menus, the targets on the top menu are likely to start with A and B, and the same case if the items in the bottom menus, the words are likely to start with Y and Z. So participants were more efficient to find the targets. And as you can see, model predict this effect. And another example is semantic. So you might see a big bump in the middle there. You might find that's kind of random. So, but if you see the human data, I need to say this semantic is for 4x4 organization. So it means there are two groups and 4 items in one group. So participants were more efficient to find the target when the target is at the first item of first group, and also in the first item of second group. So it means when they find the low relevant item in the first group, they jump to the second group. So, and the fourth panel, we just aggregate the case proportions. As I said, there are other facts that this model predicts, present in the paper. So, okay, now it's the discussion. We have demonstrated that interactive behavior can be predicted as an emergent consequence of underlying constraints. And our model of menu search predict phenomena that include search time, gaze allocation, and effect of organization. And we believe that this approach offers a radical alternative to a number of other approaches to cognitive modeling in HCI that are achieved by the virtue of the fact that the prediction are emergent consequence of defining the user's optimal control problem. I think we don't have time for that. Okay, so thanks. Any questions?
Thank you. Time for one quick question.
Hi, Michel Baudouin-Lafont, Université Paris-Sud. I applaud to the goal of modeling this kind of complex behaviors. But I see a kind of a shift in your talk in that in the beginning you spend a lot of time explaining that models are explanatory.
Okay.
And in the end, your models are making predictions. And to me, a model does not need, and in general is not explanatory by itself. If you take Fitts' law, it doesn't explain why it works. If you use learning techniques, usually they're very opaque. You get good results, most people don't know why. So the explanations you draw from this are from analyzing what the model gave you and comparing with the data that you collected, but they're not in the model itself. So
what do you mean they are not in the model itself?
The explanation is not in the model. You explain to us why it was the way it was because of the behavior of the humans, but it's not, your model is a learning technique.
Oh, the model is learning
well, optimization, but it's just, two sides of the same coin.
I think when you made it's not. How is that? So the point here is so the behavior is found by adaptive to those constraints. So and this behavior, this effect we found, it's the behavior of the model. So
but the behavior of the model, how well it is at predicting things correctly, is not necessarily a correct description of what's really happening. That's all my point.
Oh, you mean, yes, the model doesn't predict the learning process. It makes the point that the behavior could be explained as optimal adaptation to the constraints. And so...
But that's still an hypothesis. I think we can take this offline.
It's just offline, yes. Let's
Okay.
thank our speaker one more time.